So let's talk.
New speculation this morning on who may be in and who may be out of the White House. The president's holding interviews for top-level cabinet members and senior staff at the Mar-a-Lago estate this weekend. This as a new book by a former Trump campaign manager. No guess who that is. Corey Lewandowski will hit the shelves on Tuesday. And according to the Washington Post, that book alleges dozens of officials in Washington are working to undermine the president.
CNN chief media correspondent and anchor of reliable sources, Brian Stelter, with us now. Brian, there are some pretty loaded words in this excerpt, according to the Washington Post.
Yeah, there's been two markets for two different kinds of Trump books in the past year. One is tell-alls from reporters and former aides who are disturbed by what's going on in the White House. The other kind is this book from David Bossie and Corey Lewandowski called Trump's Enemies. It's an unabashedly, aggressively pro-Trump book saying that Trump's only problem in the White House are all of these deep state figures. This is a book that's guaranteed to sell well among Sean Hannity fans and Rush Limbaugh fans because it paints this picture of an administration that is undermined by rats from inside. And it goes and names names, for example, saying that Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort, two former Trump loyalists who flipped on the president and cooperated with Robert Mueller. It describes those two figures as rats. It also describes figures like Gary Cohn, former administration official, as a limousine liberal, and it goes on and on like that. So it's a reminder again that the book is a reminder that this administration has been rocked by different fiefdoms, by infighting among different fiefdoms. Someone like Lewandowski, who didn't get a job in the Trump White House, he's been on the outside, sometimes stirring up trouble. But he did get an interview with the president for the book. Bossie and Lewandowski sat down with the president for a very friendly chat, and some of it appears in the book. And here's one of the standout passages, I thought, one of the most notable lines. The president said, yes, it is. I really mean it when I say the fake news is the greatest enemy of the people. He said that this is something that he is very proud of, that he has told the public again and again that the news is fake. So you can see the quote here. He says, I think one of the most important things that I've done, especially for the public, is explain that a lot of the news is indeed fake. Of course, in Trump's upside-down world, he says real news is fake and fake news is real. So, unfortunately, he's done a lot of damage to media literacy efforts by trying to label the CNNs and the New York Times of the world as fake, when in fact those outlets are trying to report fair, accurate news. But it's notable that he says he's proud of that. That's one of his accomplishments as a president, is to try to create this confusion in the public about what to believe and what not to believe. So this book will help in terms of the pro-Trump base. I'm sure it'll do well. But you know, the most popular of the books of the year have actually been the critical books of Trump, the books that are political but not pro-Trump.
Okay, so with that said, how's Michelle Obama's book sales?
Well, that's what I'm so intrigued by this week. Michelle Obama's book, in its first week on sale, has sold more than 1.4 million copies. This is an off-the-charts figure for any author, even for a first lady. So 1.4 million copies in the first week. Now the publisher says more than 5 million copies will be out for print, available for the holidays. Look, she timed this really well right after the election, going into Thanksgiving and Christmas, at a time when book sales will be really hot. But Michelle Obama's accomplished something that few others have, right? She's critical of Trump in the book, but the book is not about Trump. So unlike so many other titles this year, Michael Wolff's Fire and Fury, Bob Woodward's Fear, all of these books that have sold like hotcakes at Barnes & Noble and on Amazon, Michelle Obama was able to kind of stay above it and actually come out with an inspirational book that people were still interested in buying. So for the publisher, one of the best-selling books in the company's history. And like I said, it's only been a week, so Michelle Obama has a lot more weeks in this holiday season to rack up more sales.
Yeah, very good point.
The Lewandowski book, though, also continues to point out that there is a huge divide in the perception of this presidency, depending on where you are politically.
And people, you know, if you are standing by the president, you're going to buy Trump's enemies. If you are interested in a critique of the president and interested in reliving the Obama years, you're going to buy Michelle Obama's book. And there's barely any space in between. And I completely agree with you, Mark. There's this problem of two different news worlds serving two different Americas right now, which contributes to the divide.
Yeah, and depending on which book you get for the holidays says a lot about you, unless, of course, you get all three.
Well, there you go.
Right.
Play it easily down the middle. Brian Stelter, as always, thanks very much.
Thanks.